Yeah. No, you don't send them stuff like no. Saturday. Yes. So I was like, so they do your that's basketball problem. That's the I want to be bossy. You know,
Hey, hey, how's the summer going so far? Good. Good. Oh my, oh my. We have come to our first panel. This is the challenges and triumphs panel. And we have Jason Gibb, which is Aldrich of Compromising Choices. We have Mohammed Hafiz from PAD. We have Dr. Darrell Gibron, who will be the host. We have Chris Willis from the Life Unit. And lastly, we have Dr. Chris Pugh of Manhood Mindset. All right. So I'm gonna pass the mic to Dr. Darrell. We're gonna get it started. Challenges and triumphs. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. All right, I love good energy, okay? It's good to see you all here. And I know everyone in here can identify with challenges in their life and being triumphant as well. If you've had some challenges in your life, would you please clap your hands? All right. If you've been able to celebrate any triumphs in your life, would you please clap your hands? Awesome, awesome. And that's pretty much what we're going to talk about today. We have some experts up here in their particular fields, and we would like to hear from them and how they can impact our lives. That we want to hear of the challenges that you all have been dealing with, facing in your field, and then we're going to come back and look at some of the ways that you have been triumphant, which would just remind us that to keep hope alive. Jesse Jackson, to keep hope alive. I am Dr. Giron, Dr. G, Dr. G. As a matter of fact, I would like to shamelessly do a plug, and that is as soon as you get a chance, we didn't get a chance to play it today because of the internet. When you get a chance, I just dropped a single entitled Always Winning. Usually when people ask me how I'm doing, my response is always winning because I believe it's all about mindset. I believe in the power of the word. the power of the tongue, the power of our words, bring forth the manifestation of what we see in life. I have seen that. So I'm gonna ask you all, I want you to take that on. People ask you how you doing. I want you to see how you feel differently and how others respond differently when you say always win. Doesn't mean every T is crossed, every I is dotted. It just means that you realize it's all working together. What? For your good. And it's gonna be okay. You're learning something, you're becoming better, you're becoming wiser. So I'm gonna ask you how you doing. I just want everybody to say always winning. How y'all doing in here? Well, that's not I'm serious. That's what I'm talking about. All right, all right. So we're gonna start over this side. I got both persons on this side. I got Muhammad over here, and then I have my brother Jason over here. So if you would introduce yourself, please tell us what it is that you do and why you do it. All right, what's the why behind what you do?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Marion Christopher Pugh. I'm the owner and CEO of Manhood Mindset. I'm an educational consultant and a family therapist. I'm also an author. What I'm actually doing is going and making sure that people know how to speak to the eldest male in their family. A lot of times people speak about granddad, but they don't know how to speak to granddad. There's a reason why a lot of men are silent, because a lot of men find out how many people did not have the skill set or the will set to listen to them. This world has kind of owned our image to a certain extent when it comes down to marketing. So a lot of people know our image, but they don't know us. So my job is to make sure that I start the conversation with our family members, but also give the skill set to communicate on behalf of a man. Not for men, but I teach men how to communicate without apologizing. A lot of people don't know that the art of apologizing when you didn't do anything wrong is a form of idol worship. We have to make sure that we're confident because our children believe what they see, not just what we say, right? So we have to understand that we were born with authority and we have to walk like it, even if we're not welcome, we still belong.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Willards. I'm the founder of the Life Feeding Inc. I travel the country full time as a motivational speaker. I also create and implement curriculums to in different levels, specifically with the circuit course, so we can prevent our young people ages 15 to 26 from going to jail and prison. I also leverage social media where my platform reaches about 100 million people every month, where I tell the story of us. That's it. And my why is because in 2003, I was sentenced to 144 years in prison. I was the driver in the robbery. The weapon was a BB gun, white attorney, Southern State. Here we go. I ended up doing 17 years in prison, fought through that, came home in 2020 during the pandemic, and there was a lack of resources when it came to reentry, mental health, and spaces that I really supported. So what I did, I created the programs to be the solutions to the problems that exist. So I'm glad to connect with all of you. I'm really excited to be here with BMI, and thank y'all for listening in today, man.
Yeah, my name is Mohammed Hafiz. I work with PAD Atlanta, that's Policing Alternatives and Diversion Initiative. I am the Director of Community Engagement. So what we do at PAD is that we respond with timely response to quality of life concerns. What that means is if you see somebody on the street that's dealing with a mental health issue, or maybe they're dealing with an extreme poverty situation, or maybe even substance use issue, you don't have to call 911. We're a true alternative to calling the police. In other words, instead of calling the police, you can call 311 and you can access us. And we can send out community responders to meet the people where they need. A lot of times in our communities, we see behaviors that are criminalized just for people trying to have survival behaviors. That's what we want to call them. They're trying to, ask for money. They're panhandling. They may be sleeping in a place where they are not supposed to be. But they might be even having a mental health episode or something like that. A lot of times we call our default mode is enforcement instead of calling and calling the police and calling 911. What we're saying is that should be our default mode. Our default mode should be to care for that individual and get them connected to care. So that's what we do at PAD. We get people, instead of people getting connected to going to jail, we connect them to resources and provide a connection to places where they can actually have hope instead of living out a life that's on the streets, that may be dealing with, or even sitting in prison. That's what we do. That's a good question, my brother. My why is because I grew up not necessarily just impacted myself, but I had a father that did. And so I know if my father was a person who had a lot of mental health issues. And so in other words, he had deep anxiety and depression. And so he ended up doing behaviors like he ended up doing drugs, he ended up robbing, he ended up sleeping on the streets. And I think about it all the time. What if my dad had a dad around where somebody could call 311 instead of calling 911? What would my childhood be like if my father was, I could actually have been a father that he wanted to be to me, but since he had all these mental health conditions, he was not, he was relegated to doing drugs, but never got the support he needed. That's why.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jason Aldridge. I'm the founder of Compromising Choices. I am a gang intervention specialist. I'm one who is trying to be an interrupter of early coffins in jail cells. I work with the attorney's office at the Richard B. Russell Building under Judge Greenberg and Judge Calvert, with participants getting out, trying to get them jobs, trying to find them homes to stay. I work with the Cobb County Juvenile Courts under Judge Elamine, where I work with young men and women that are on drugs. And I'm trying to help them recover. I work with Offender Alumni Association, where I go inside of all of the YDCs, which is the youth detention centers in Georgia, and I facilitate a program called Solid. And then I go to actual Metro State Prison in Georgia, and I'm the lead facilitator for ACEs. I had life in 20 in the state of Georgia. I gave the life back and I took 20 years. And while I was in prison, I started redefining my mental, and I started building self-discipline. And with self-discipline, I'm not easily influenced with the sidelines. And from there, I got my GED and I started becoming a GED teacher. And in prison, Georgia, a lot of the people that's in the GED class are young. They're wild. So I started seeing myself stopping a lot of fights, a lot of gang wars. And I said, I got something with this. And so I created my whirlwind in there and I brought it out here to Atlanta, to the city of Atlanta. Um, you said my why. My why, I realized one day I gotta die. So I must take life serious. And as African Americans, we are losing. And I've took so much in the community. So it's my job to show these young men and women something different. My why is to stop getting these young dudes and these young women to be easily impressed with the gold chains and the BMWs, and to really realize a lot of this stuff be a fad, man, and people give you their glory days to try to bring you in to have you live their life. So my job is to expose that, man. And so I've been doing this work. I've been working with a lot of great people like TK, like Woodrow, like Butler, like Omar Howard, you know, incredible, incredible boots on the ground out here in the city of Atlanta. I learned a lot from them. But that's my why, man. That's my why. I want to expose the glory days, man, because the glory days ain't really the glory days, man.
Give it up again for Barry White. I mean, Jason. Yeah. No, listen, but first of all, let's give it up to these black brothers in our community making an impact. The got to why they love what they do, but I know that what you do is not easy, and it does not come without struggle, trials, tribulations, challenges. And so we're gonna go back to Barry. Come this way, all right? I'm in Jason. Yeah. But if you I didn't get that before. If you would let us know, paint a picture for us, because I believe that it's important to have a conversation, but it is as equally important to establish collaboration. And that takes us to making a change. Conversation, collaboration, and then creating a change. And so if you don't mind, please paint a picture for us of the challenges that you all face and deal with.
Man, I thank you for that question. Since I've been doing this work, I can name a million challenges, but I'm gonna say two challenges that I face: finances, money. You know, we only have so much money that the boots on the ground receive, but it's so much work that needs to be done. And a lot of times we catch ourselves coming out of our own pockets. But honestly, we got to pay bills, we got to pay mortgage, we got to pay rent, we gotta pay car notes, we have to live too. And this job is a 24-hour job. So a lot of us are actually 24/7 employed, but maybe get 35,000 a year, only get paid once a month. And that's the challenge for me is the finances. We're not getting paid for our work, and we don't have access to the money to help these young men and women because we're not in HR or we're not maybe the CEOs or we're not articulate enough to get the grants or we're not a grant writer, but we are great at what we're doing because we're slowing down a lot of the finance. So finances is something that's real hard for me, man. I'm gonna say another challenge for me will have to be getting inside of the doors where we need to be. So you have a lot of boots on the ground that's actually putting in a lot of work, but we're never in front of the news cameras. We're never in front of the closed doors when the people are talking and let them hear from us because we're actually doing the work. We're actually dodging bullets. We're actually breaking fights up, getting hit. We're actually having kids in the back of our truck fighting and tearing stuff up in the truck. But we're never ever to voice our opinion. We're only able to voice our opinion to maybe a supervisor or a director. But we need to start coming into these buildings and voicing what we need because we're the ones in the streets. So them is the challenges amongst many that I see.
I appreciate it. Wrap it up, my brother. Right here. Great, Robin. Absolutely. And I think I'm gonna say that, oh yeah, money is always the concern for all of us, and the work that we do, particularly with pay. That's one of our concerns. But I think a lot of times it's just the underutilization of our services. I say that we're the best kept secret in Atlanta because the reality is that people don't call people when they call 911 when they see something. So we have been conditioned to call 911, right? We are socialized call 911. When we see something that we perceive that might be dangerous, we might see somebody yelling in the streets. We might see somebody taking their clothes off. But the first thing we say, oh, that person is a threat to public safety and public health. And then we're not looking behind the thing that is actually causing that issue. And so a lot of times the biggest issue is that we don't understand mental health in our spaces enough, especially in the Black communities. And we're not addressing it. That's why I love what BMI is doing because I believe they're addressing the thing that's behind the behaviors. And so that's what the path that I'm passionate about the most is because there are things in our communities that are still taboo. Mental health is one of them. People don't like to talk about why somebody is doing what they're doing until they get arrested, right? And so we have to have preventative things. I love what my brother's talking about because we have to be preventative in the measures that we're taking. And one of the ways we can do that is actually just calling 311 instead of calling 911. If we see somebody on the street, don't just think that somebody's not going to call the police because they are going to call the police, y'all. If somebody's screaming at the top of their lungs, or they look like they're threatening. I had a person outside of my church one time. He had a hammer, wouldn't harm nobody. But I guarantee somebody's going to call 911 on that individual. And he's going to be thrown in jail for months and months. And he's going to continue to get cycled in and out of the system. And he'll never get back on his feet. He'll never get the mental health care support or the substance use care and support that he needs. So part of it is just education. Our community actually picking up the phone and not just saying we can't get involved, but we need to get involved. Calling 311. That's what we need to be doing, my people. I think the other challenge is I would say just one more challenge is the reality is that we're fighting against a system that wants to continue to get people in and out of the jail system. It's big business, y'all. The jail, we fight against jail big business. If y'all know what it's like, yeah, some of y'all know what it's like to be in Fulton County Jail. It's we're fighting against a system, a big system, and we're a small nonprofit. Yeah, Pat, we got vans. You see us out here on the streets, but we're still fighting against a system that is still trying to criminalize people and trying to throw people in jail, particularly Black men. And so that's one of the biggest challenges we're facing. Just getting the awareness out about what we do in the education about the jail and the conditions of the jail, and the jail needs to be shut down. For the condition we got another consent decree. Conditions are inhumane, they're overcrowded. And we're continually doing this. We're continually saying the same things over and over again. We need to decrease the amount of people in jail, but we're continually putting more people in jail. So we got to be part of the solution. That's the problem.
You know, I appreciate that because I also have dealt with mental health challenges, and I have also now taken that experience and we minister to those, right? I never knew about 311, so I appreciate that information, and I'm going to pass that on. Also, let me do a room check. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? There we go. Listen, that particular song that can be found on all digital platforms, it was actually created as we advocate for Black being powerful mental health. And so every brother who heard that song already, they immediately, I recorded some of them, immediately you begin to see them being uplifted, you know, and saying how it spoke to them. So I encourage you to definitely take a listen to that for your empowerment, and definitely remember 311. Remember that. All right, let's cross over to Chris. Chris makes you want to jump, right? All right, y'all remember that, Chris? Okay, please let us know what challenges you're facing. Paint up picture.
All right, so for advocates as a whole, community leaders, you guys chimed in on mental health, and I want to speak to the fact that we've lost two fierce advocates within the last 60 days that I worked with personally. That were advocates that were doing the work in the community. So there's not enough support for us to do the work. We don't have the resources. We're stretched. We're working 25/8. We're running here. We're running there, and a lot of us are burning out. The other obstacle, and I just want to be really transparent. I don't want to believe that it's anybody in this room, but there's a really competitive mindset in nature between organizations sometimes. And maybe that's I want to say that. Y'all with me? Y'all with me? Because, because for the work that I do, there's little boys, little girls dying, getting abducted. There's men and women sitting in prisons for longer than they should, and because we can't get on the same page, we're so concerned with. I want to be on this panel. I want to be there. I want this grant. I want this, but we can't shake hands. We constantly trying to identify why we can't work together. We trying to do the work as a community, y'all. So I had to put that out there. And then last, I want to say this, because I'm so public with my work. I get threats. I got a 5-month-old son. I'm a first time dad at 42. My 5-month-old, thank y'all. It's a miracle, y'all. But 2 nights ago, I got a call at about 30 in the morning, and his life was threatened along with mine and my wife's. So some of the obstacles are evident. Some of the obstacles are more consistent with our journeys and our pathways. But depending upon where you go, the threats and obstacles become more. I have to have conversations with security when I go to certain parts of the country now, just because I'm third second chances, just because I say we deserve resources, just because I ain't going for it, y'all. If you're not for the people, I'm not gonna smile in your face or shake your hand. So those are the obstacles for me. And again, that mental health piece. We lost two advocates in the last 60 days. Anybody out there, if you need support, help, see me afterwards, y'all. We're gonna connect right here, right now, y'all. Thank you.
One of the many challenges that I am noticing right now is how to protect children from their greatest threat when it looks like that's their foundation and their support system. So what I do is I go into different homes when I find out that their worst bully is their mother or their father. And so now you have to depend on your bully to live each and every day for food, water, and shelter. But when you spend 2 hours with me and 16 hours with them, the whole reoccurring traumatic experience, now I have to deal with that again. And psychologically, that puts a toll on all of us. And you just mentioned burnout, right? We're mentioning financial stress. We're mentioning environmental stress. One thing I want people to just consider before mental health, we do have to consider environmental health, because the food, the water, the scarcity, the poverty, all these different things, the historical warfare, because this is what a lot of people don't understand, me included. I have to learn history so I don't be confused by the present. When you understand history and how we have been targeted, when you just sit down and let young boys read COINTELPRO, if you're in religion, you need to read what happened when King Herod found out that Jesus might be born. People been killing children for centuries, and this ain't gonna stop, but neither will we. If there's a challenge, there's always gonna be somebody that's gonna rise to it. So honestly, expecting world peace is a challenge for me. I've gotten to a point where I'm not giving up, but I require serenity more than I require comfort and happiness. I'm going to accept the things I cannot change. I cannot change insecurity. I cannot change deception. I can't change violent people. I can't change the people who despise me because I showed up. They not my assignment. And a lot of us are wasting time trying to change minds that are not assigned. So The quickest way you can lose your mind is trying to change somebody else's. What you can do is expose it to them so they're no longer confused about the choice they're making for themselves. But if you sit up all night thinking that you're supposed to change that person when you didn't create that person, you will waste your own time, and that's called burnout. That is called burnout. And there are several different ways we can do it. Some of us are doing it with our own families. Parents are doing it with their children. And watch this, some children are doing it with their parents. Raise your hand if you were the most responsible person in your family, but you were not the oldest. Everybody look around the room. Look around the room. Now, by default, by cause and effect and by nature, you're going to grow up with some type of trust issue. Why? If you're in a parent's position without a parent's authority, psychologically, you're compromised. Just based off default. It's not because you're a good and bad person. And a lot of us think these titles that we give each other can absolve spiritual warfare. It does not. These children are raising adults. What psychological place are we putting them in when I have to tuck my parent in? When I have to make you take your medicine? When I have to leave from school to go to work? Now watch this. You remember our elders used to tell us, man, I had to leave in third grade to go in the yard. I had to leave at second grade to go out here in that field, right? Now, if they left the field, and they left school to go to the field to build a foundation for us to not have to do it. But we got more resources, more technology, but the kids got to do the exact same thing our great grandparents have done. It's called abuse. And I don't care what nobody say. It's called abuse. The lack of accountability we're putting on people to control where they stay. Can't even control what schools are in their own zones. We can't even control who their parents date. But we're requiring them to be at an elevated psychological level. And we're telling them to do things without teaching them how to do it through example. And that is abuse. That's a challenge for me, y'all. So every time I'm talking to a kid, I don't look at them as victims. I don't even look at myself as victims. Matter of fact, a victim is not more powerful in a court of law than a witness. I'll prove it to you. A victim can tell what happened, but a witness, well, a victim can say how they felt about what happened, right? But guess what? There's a such thing as called as a power witness. That power witness has the balance in their hand. Do they? So if that person says, you know what, I saw that. If something happened to you, I'm going to challenge you to look at it like this. Yes, it happened to you. But before you say you're a victim, just claim that you're a witness. That way you don't have to wait for somebody to believe you because you know the truth. That's a major challenge for me. People not able and willing to tell the truth to themselves. They're so busy trying to convince someone else that they're not assigned to. You are your first assignment. You, if somebody got to tell you the truth, make sure it's you.
No, man, everybody say mindset. Let me tell you, we have really got to store and reset and reprogram our own minds. You know, because it's become so easy to become conformed to what is going on in society and to become dismayed by it. But I guarantee you, we are still winning. When I listen to you brothers, yeah, we're dealing with challenges in life. We're dealing with challenges in these different sectors in life. But because you are there, because you have the heart and you're doing what you're doing, somebody's winning. You're winning and you're helping someone else to be impacted and they're winning. You see what I'm saying? Give them another hand, please. I really, you know, that's why you're here today, because you're making an impact. And I just want to give a shout out also. Give another hand to BMI and everything that's doing. Everybody is working with BMI. They're making a difference. You know, and I just love the way you all are functioning and just the excellence in which you all maneuver. Let me check the room right quick. How you all doing?
Always.
Yeah, it's mindset starts with the mouth, mind, and then you see that thing manifest. So now we're going to talk about some of the hopeful things that has taken place, some of the triumphant moves that you have seen to manifest. in your sectors in spite of the challenges that you have had to deal with. And I'm hoping that everyone here could also connect with you before you leave and find out more information about what you're doing and how we all can help you with what you're doing. Because we hear your challenge. But like I said, if we don't collaborate, the change won't be made. So we don't want to just hear, but we want to see how can I help you be triumphant. So Mohammed, let's start with you.
First, I just want to shout out my team over there. I got Ash, who's the director of community response. Bam, right there, who's the community response, and it's not who's also without whatever I do is not possible without. I think the ecosystem is this. The Carter, the Carter Center, and Jimmy Carter Foundation, and the only work that they do stateside, hoping to support our work here at PAD. That's amazing because they don't do stateside work. Most encouraging thing, but they just put out a study about alternatives, and I thought that was amazing. That 71% of the people in Atlanta, Georgia, the people supported alternatives to calling the police. So that should be encouraging to us because the default response should always call 911 to have police. It should be, we should be demanding as a community to have more choices and more options to call, not just PAD. I love what brothers talking about here, Jason. We need to fund his work and other works like this, and we need to have these people on speak down to come and do the work in our communities. And so I get excited and I see these things happen. We got legal defense fund over there. We got all these at Bar Business, Women on the Rise, Women Against Gang Violence, all these other organizations here, because we can talk and we can work together and we can have resources together and we can mobilize and go out and start to make a change in our communities, and we can start to keep our community safe. Our community safe. Not depending on police to make our community safe. Let me ask a question. How many of you guys, when y'all think about safety or y'all think about being safe in your community, how many of y'all raise your hand and say, I think about police? I think about police. Not many. Because police aren't what's keeping our community safe. We are. And so I want to just leave with that. I am vocal because of things like this. We can create awareness that us as a community can come together and make our community safe. That's it.
I would say the trophies that I've received is the fact that I can visualize something and then I can put it in the physical. You know, I see young men and women that once were me, that walk the shoes that I walk, and I say, you know what? I'm gonna help this brother, I'm gonna help this sister. And when I pour into them, it works. And that what keeps me going. When I see individuals like Fred Hampton, Martin Luther King, these brothers died young for a cause that they stood on. And I'm just like, man, that's a trophy for me. Meeting folks, man. And when I do something, give me good, positive criticism. Pull my coattail when I ain't doing right. You know, it ain't always about trying to degrade me or pull me down. It's about lifting me up. But my trophies, man, is to really visualize and put it in the physical. Man. I'll tell you, it's a beautiful thing when you can dream about something and then get up and you put it in the physical and you can see it form into a leap. Man, that's a beautiful feeling. So I would say that's my trophy right there, man. To really help because they need it and I needed it and I couldn't get it. But God bless because I'm sitting here on the podium with a life sentence and gave it back.
Give these buckets another hand, please. Now I'm turning back over to the one and only AB himself, but I got to give a shout out to Larry Fowler, who's in the audience as well, who is a part of my collaboration, my team. AB, BMI, continue doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Great panel, great information. Remember, y'all, we are asking people to leave out of here connected with people. Get with these gentlemen. You see the work they're doing real work. Anybody can call 311 for PAD. Anyone can call 311. All right. Thank you again, gentlemen. Thank you again so much. Right. Now, Hops. Give a big round of applause to everybody that's on the stage.
Man, we are about to get started with one of our premier conversations of the day. We want to make sure that we do catch some photos of you guys, so please stay here for a quick little photo op, about 5 minutes. You guys, please take the time to stretch your legs. Food will also be getting served at around this time as well. But please, if you guys can give us about 5 minutes, we're gonna get started with our luncheon conversation. Our luncheon conversation will meet. Can I get cameras? Cameras. Let's catch some quick photos of the panelists real quick, and then we'll go ahead and transition.